Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome on into your FreightWaves Now Community Spotlight on this Monday. I'm Kayla Nix. Joining me is the one and only Grace Sharkey, one of our co-hosts and co-writers of The Stockout. Grace, how's it going? It's been a while since we've been together on the FreightWaves stage.
You excited, of course, to be back with you. It's a wonderful Monday morning and kick things off for the FreightWaves week. So I'm happy to be here. That's for sure.
We've got a really fun topic to talk about today, and it's kind of like the hallmark of the way that Americans eat. We are covering snacks today, which is such an interesting facet of the CPG space because we've really built a ton of infrastructure around Americans and their snacking habits. So much so that it's changed the way that some of these CPG companies actually market and how they set some of their financial targets just based on the fact that we snack a whole lot. Break it down for us. Why are Americans consuming so much snack food?
Well, it's interesting. It hasn't always been this way in America until about the mid 1880s, 1980s. Snacking was actually discouraged. It was, 3 structured meals a day, and you should be good to go. And between 77 and 2008, Americans in total have doubled their snacking intake. I'm sure you remember COVID. 95% of adults during COVID said they're snacking daily, and over 50% of Americans were having 3 or more snacks per day. And I think this points to an overall cultural shift. I mean, we all heard the health gurus out there say that snacking throughout the day can be more healthy than having these big, large meals. And people are starting to take that seriously. And not only, like you said, are we changing our habits as consumers, but I think along with that, too, is not only, of course, some changes in regulations. For instance, during the Reagan administration, there was a huge change to allow more cartoonish commercials, right? Kind of the bad part of some of the vaping and things like that, but we find okay for snacks. And then, of course, for a lot of us out there, I think we're just naturally used to going to the grocery store and seeing so many different options now from these different providers that it's very tough to say no to a snack when life has become also convenient.
That's the case, right? It's this constant war between convenience and oftentimes complacency if you're thinking about your eating habits and how you snack versus that health battle, right? And there's always this conflicting information on the health side. 3 square meals versus not 3 square meals, intermittent fasting, only snacking, there's a lot of kind of misinformation, and the CPG companies tend to, I feel like, almost capitalize off of that by staying consistent on their side of things, right? You know what they're getting out of a CPG company. You go into the store, you buy a package of Oreos, you know what you're going to get out of them. Single stuff or double stuff. I'm a double stuff person myself. But that's one of those things that I think is very, very easy for consumers to latch onto, is the kind of consistency in some of those snack foods. And a lot of that has to do with the ingredients that they're made out of, right? And we know that that is also another big target on the backs when it comes to the healthy eating movement, the salt, the sugar, and the fat.
Yeah, most snacks today are made out of really convenient ingredients for these players. It's cheaper, I guess, more profit for them to make snacks than it is to provide for these very heavy meals. We've looked at, yes, sugar, fat, salt, and of course the irresistible salt and sugar crunchiness, right? All those simple ingredients make it very easy for them to really snackify any type of product that's out there. I mean, look at the past, right? We've taken pizza and we've turned it into pizza bites. We've taken tacos and I'd say more Mexican, Hispanic food, and we've turned it to taquitos and snackable tacos. We've seen peanut butter and jelly sandwiches turn into Uncrustables. So the fact that not only can we make any of these meals smaller and easier, more convenient for us to take around with us, it's better for some of these companies to actually profit more off these snacks than anything else they've, of course, pushed in front of us before.
So we've talked a little bit kind of about the cultural shift from the late 1900s into the way that we eat now as Americans. But I also want to touch on something that I think is interesting, is kind of the way that younger generations play into how we choose to eat, right? Like I think about the girl dinner trend that was going on like a year ago or so. that was basically just glorified snacking made into a meal. And this is something that I don't think we talk enough about is the, I guess, kind of prevalence of social media and eating trends and how so many people are shoving the way that they eat down our faces, literally, and then we feel the need to do that as well. Is that something that some of these snack companies or CPG companies are maybe starting to latch onto and kind of getting into the influencer marketing and the social media side of things to really say, hey, no, don't forget our snack foods as you're planning your what I eat in a day videos?
Oh, 100%. I think I can just imagine being in one of those boardrooms when girl dinner became a thing, because I'm sure they were just happy and overjoyed. And, you see it across even popular YouTubers. A friend of mine who has millions of followers, he literally just makes videos off of trying every single Oreo or every single type of certain snack food, every single Pringle. And people love watching those videos. And I agree. I think that that's perfect timing for this new generation to be providing almost what you could look at as free advertisement for a lot of these players as well. I will say there is one fear that comes with the snacking, though, and I guess it depends on what you're contributing, if it's healthy snacks or if it's something more like Oreos, is of course the Ozempic hype that's going on, the weight loss activity that we've seen, and the different drugs that are helping with that. While they do probably encourage a little bit more of like snacking behavior in smaller portions, those do encourage at the same time fresh and healthy foods, which pushes against a lot of these snacking companies, which is I think their biggest fear right now. But if they can continue to, put out the next Wolverine versus Deadpool Oreo, there's going to be something for them to at least pull on the media side and on the advertising side as well.
Yeah, I think that's quite an interesting point, right? Is that push pull between a society is really kind of like constant desire to be thin and skinny, not necessarily equating to healthy at all, just that thin and skinny versus the we're Americans and we have this reputation of being absolutely well fed when it comes to food and snacking. And how does that two combine? I'd like to maybe do a little bit deeper dive in on that one with you, Grace. I think it'd lead to some interesting conversation. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about the stock out. You guys have your show, you and Mike Bowden, still coming up in about 20 minutes. What is on tap for this Monday morning?
Well, we're going to be reviewing a little bit of the snacking perspective, of course, through the eyes of a number of companies that we've focused on in the past. Of course, we're going to dive into some big news when it comes to some of the large retailers as well. Of course, we'll probably see a sonar chart or two come up as we review, especially, as we're getting things back online from the rail strike, how that's affected over the last couple weeks. But other than that, you can expect the usual. Make sure you guys join our community too here on FreightWaves.com.
There we go. And Grace, really quickly, we got to make a subtle plug for our next FreightWaves TV event that's coming up next week. We got the Net Zero Carbon Summit. Did you make any appearances on any fireside chats for us in the summit?
I haven't, but I'm excited for this one, especially because I haven't been a part of them. That makes me even more excited to see the content that's behind it. I know Mary's been a big part of it, and Thomas as well. So we'll see some of that action too next week. Excited for another virtual event. But on top of that, we got 2 more months, right, until we get to all hang out together in Chattanooga. So F3 is right around the corner too. So make sure you go check out that as well.
Yeah, and rumor has it there's still some discount codes floating around if you become a subscriber to the Stock Out newsletter or to any of our community's newsletters. I want you guys in all of them, but go to the Stock Out now between now and the show. All right, Grace, thanks for that. We will catch up with you in about 20 minutes at 10 a.m. for the Stock Out Live. Have a great Monday, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, Kaylee.